Hello students, in today's lecture I am going to discuss the following topics. First one is prescriptive process model, second one is the waterfall model, and the last one, that is very important, incremental process model. Let's just start with prescriptive process model. The word prescriptive means what to do. A software process model presents a description of a process from some particular perspective. A perspective process model defines a distinct set of activities, actions, tasks, milestones, and work products that are required to engineer high quality software. The activities may be linear, incremental, or evolutionary. The process elements are the work products, framework, activities, quality assurance, action, task, and control mechanism. A perspective process model is defined as how to do according to a certain software process system. Then what they should do means what designers, developers they should do and how they should do it, enforcing the order or the timing of plans. These plans are specific and forward looking. With the help of this perspective model, we can find the goal and monitoring plans before starting the development, which tells designers what state they must reach at what point in the design process. Then various perspective models are waterfall model, incremental model, and evolutionary model. Various perspective process models are: first one is the waterfall model, second one is incremental process model, third one is evolutionary process model, and the last one, that is the concurrent process model. So all these are prescriptive process models. Let us see first prescriptive model, that is waterfall model. It is the oldest model among all the models. So the waterfall model introduced by Winston Royce. The waterfall model is also called as a linear sequential model or classical life cycle model. In this model, each phase is fully completed before the beginning of the next phase. Then, the waterfall model is used for the small scale projects. In this model, feedback is taken after each phase to ensure that project is on the right path. In part of testing, testing starts only after the development is completed. In waterfall model, phases do not overlap. At the end of each phase, a review takes place to check that the project is on the right path and whether or not to be continue and discard the project. In waterfall approach, the whole process of the waterfall development is divided into separate phases. In the waterfall model, typically the outcome of one phase acts as the input for the next phase sequentially. This diagram shows the representation of different phases of the waterfall model. Those are: first one is communication phase, second one is the planning, third one is the modeling, fourth one is the construction, and the last one, that is the deployment. Let us discuss various phases of waterfall model. So the first phase that is very important, that is the communication phase. In the communication phase, the major task performed is requirement gathering, which helps in finding out the exact need of the customer. Means what are the hardware software requirements and what are the functional requirements that wants by the customer. Once all the needs of the customer are gathered, the next step is planning. So in the planning phase or the planning activities, the major actions like planning for schedule, keeping track of on the processes and estimation related to the project are done. Planning is even used to find the types of risk involved throughout the projects. Planning describes how technical tasks are going to take place and what resources are needed and how to use them. Then the third phase, that is the modeling. This is one of the important phase as the architecture, or we can say the design of the system, is discussed in this phase. So the analysis is carried out, and depending on the analysis a software model is designed. Different models for developing software are created depending on the requirements gathered in the first phase and planning done in the second phase. After that, the last phase, that is very important, construction phase, the actual coding of the software is done in this phase. This coding is done on the basis of the model design in the modeling phase. So in this phase software is actually developed and tested. Let's have a look at the advantages of waterfall model. So the first advantage is the waterfall model is simple and easy to understand and implement and use. Then the second advantage, that is easy to manage. It provides a simple measure of the development status, progress from one phase to the next, indicated achievement of an important milestones. Also, every stage in this model produces a concrete deliverable such as a requirement documents and code. So it arranges tasks easy and simple. It avoids overlapping because after completion of first phase will start the next phase. So there is no such overlapping. Then this model basically works for the small scale industrial projects. Then the quality is more important because we gather each and every requirement before starting any modeling, designing or developing. So we are providing quality oriented project to the customer. Then elaborate documentation. The way of structuring different activities in a software project with the waterfall model appears simple, easy and logical. Hence, the elaborate documentation is also provided by waterfall model. Let us see the disadvantages of waterfall model. As we have already discussed, this model is best suited for the small scale industrial project. So it's not good for the complex and object oriented projects. Then second one, it is a poor model for the long projects. Then third disadvantage is problems are uncovered until the software testing, means requires customer patience because a working version of a program does not occur until the final phase. Then risk is high. Here it has a high amount of risk and uncertainty. So the errors can be fixed during the phase. Now the second prescriptive process model, that is the incremental process model. Basically, the incremental model was developed by Mills et al. In 1980s. Incremental model used when the requirements are well understood. In the incremental model, multiple independent deliveries are identified. The workflow is in linear sequential fashion within an increment and is suggested between increments. Iterative in nature of this model focuses on an operational product with each increment. So the first increment is generally a core product. Then the work in the incremental model, the entire requirement is divided into various builds. Each increment builds the product and submit it to the customer for any suggested modifications. The next increment implements the customer's suggestions and adds additional requirements in the previous increment. This process is repeated until the product is finished. The incremental model is defined as a model of software development where the product is designed, implemented and tested incrementally. A little more is added each time until the product is finished. For example, the word processing software. Now you can see this is the figure of incremental process model. There are many situations in which initial software requirements are reasonably well defined, but the overall scope of the development effort precludes a purely linear process. In addition, there may be a compelling needs to provide a limited set of software functionality to users quickly and then refine and expand on the functionality in later software releases. In such cases, you can choose a process model that is designed to produce the software in increments. The incremental model combines elements of linear and parallel process flows. The incremental model applies linear sequences in a staggered fashion as calendar time progresses. Each linear sequence product produces deliverable that is called the increments of the software in a manner that is similar to increments produced by an evolutionary process flow. For example, word processing software developed using the incremental paradigm might deliver basic file management, editing, and document production functions in the first increment. More sophisticated editing and document productions capabilities in second increment. Then also you can see the spelling and the grammar checking in the third increment and advanced page layout capability in the fourth increment. It should be noted that the process flow for any increment can incorporate the prototyping paradigm. When an incremental model is used, the first increment is often a core product. Means you can see in the figure the increment 1 it produces the deliverable first, that is the core product. That is, basic requirements are addressed, but many supplementary features we can say that some known, other unknown, remain undelivered. The core product is used by the customer or undergoes detailed evaluation. As a result of use and or the evolution, a plan is developed for the next increment. The plan addresses the modification of the core product to better meet the needs of the customer and delivery of additional features and functionality. This process is repeated following the delivery of each increment until the complete product is produced. The incremental process model focuses on the delivery of an operational product with each increment. Early increments are stripped down versions of final product, but they do provide capability that serves the user and also provide a platform for evaluation by the user. Here are some of the advantages of incremental process model. So first advantage is this model is more flexible, less costly to change scope and requirements. Then it's easier to test and debug during a smaller iteration. Then customer can respond to each build. Then it lowers initial delivery cost. Also, it's easier to manage risk because the risky pieces are identified and handled during the iteration. So all these are the advantages of incremental process model. Here are some of the disadvantages of incremental process model. So the first disadvantage is in this model it needs a clear and complete definition, means we should know each and every requirement, that should be clear and complete. Then the second one is need good planning and design, needs a clear and complete definition of whole system before it can be broken down and built incrementally so that we can plan or design properly. Then the third one is high cost. Total cost is higher than the waterfall model because this works on the incremental way. Thank you.